We are entering an era where we call the perpetual conflict era. It means that when we both building our defenses, we look at threat actors that are no longer using human in their side. This is where they have no limit in their capabilities to deploy the highest skills of the offensive side, where they can continuously target any target that they want to. And those agents don't go to sleep, they don't eat, they don't break, and they can focus on a target at any given time. This is something that will require on our side, take out the human as part of the response side in order to be able to keep pace with that threat. And this is where it will take time for the industry to mature to that. It will take time for the threat actors to be fully transitioned to that, but we need to build ourselves through that and be proactive. The other side of the perpetual conflict is we deploy the same agentic capabilities in our environment. And as opposed to the technology that we deploy in the past, we could apply our deterministic solutions, and that's it. Once you apply a rule that says this system cannot access that system, it was clear. But when agents are interacting, they're using the human language. And the key thing about the human language is that...
Hi everyone, I'm Guru Chahal and this is the Investment Memo, the show where founders reveal the stories behind their businesses and how they will shape the future of their industries. Today I'm sitting down with Yossi Torati, CEO and co-founder of Security. This is a company building an offensive security and remediation platform to protect enterprises against weaponized AI. The more time I spend with Yossi, the more my conviction in him and Security grows. He spent 6 years at Signia, one of the world's elite incident response firms, where he worked on some of the most complex breaches on the planet. Today, we'll talk about why AI is shifting the advantage to attackers, why autonomous testing and remediation that breaks open the market, and what it means to build a company that thinks like the attacker while protecting enterprises. Yossi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is going to be a blast. I was looking forward to this for a while. You and I have known each other for a long time, but what I've never shared with you is how the initial investment came about. And so I'm sharing with you a memo that we write internally to bring the team up to speed on why myself, Tal, others in the team are so excited to partner with you. This is a copy of our investment memo. And what you'll notice there on the first page and subsequent pages is a list of need to believes, basically our investment thesis for why we're excited about this market. What is the core pain point? What is the solution that Security is building? And a little bit about the founding team on why we're excited about this founding team's right to win in this space. And so over the next few minutes, I'm hoping to explore all of this with you. Yossi, you have an incredible background. Your career was on an incredible trajectory. You were working in one of the most elite organizations on the planet, and yet you chose to leave all of that and start Security. Walk us through that thinking, please. What was changing so profoundly in the industry that it made you give up all of that and start A?
So in my last 6 years at Signia, I've seen all type of attacks against any type of industries. And it was very clear in the last year there where attackers leveraging AI, I'm talking about 2 years ago, it was very clear that this is something that completely changed the game. That all of our defenses and practices were meant to address human threat actors. They were not meant to address AI-powered threat actors. They're not meant to address machine-based adversaries. And there were a lot of use cases and examples that it was very clear that we cannot continue with the same way that we're building our defenses. And this is what led to the understanding that we need to come up with a complete new approach, a new paradigm. And this is what led to start Security.
That's amazing. When you say we were defending against humans, but defending against machines is a completely different thing. What are the one or two things that are completely different when a machine is attacking you versus when a human attacker is attacking you?
Speed is the first thing.
For sure.
This is something that all of our defenses are relying on the speed that humans reacting and our ability to detect and protect from them. And all of our tools and practices meant for that. Sophistication. Mm-hmm. This is thing that was saved for nation state capabilities that were targeted on a very specific areas now is available to everyone. It's a democratization of the most advanced offensive skills that will be available to all criminals in cyber.
Right.
And the last part is transitioning from being in an opportunistic approach to comprehensive approach by threat actors. You will no longer be if attacker will choose you, the internet will crawl with this type of capabilities, and once you will be there vulnerable, you will be hacked.
Yeah, because the cost of attacking is approaching zero. Yeah. So increased sophistication, much larger volume, and happening in real time, much, much faster. How serious was this problem at the time? I'm sure when you came out, you started talking to security leaders and trying to assess how serious is the problem. Walk us through that journey, please. What did you hear from cybersecurity defenders, from security leaders, and how serious was this problem?
So what we discover have two sides. One is that organizations today, and also when we started the journey, having difficulty to answer in a very complex and holistic way what is exploitable in our environment. And there are different tools and practices and manual processes that they can do that. But looking at the future, where we understood that attackers using agentic capabilities will be able to find that faster than any human being can find, right. We understand that we have to bridge that gap as the first pain point that we want to solve as we grow to a platform that protects organizations from weaponized AI. So when we discuss with CISOs and security leaders in enterprises, we understand that today that they're using human pen testers, they're using red teamers, they're using sometimes tools that give them some idea about their attack path. But in order to answer what is actually exploitable comprehensively and doing that in a way that is catching up with the changes in the environment, this is something that is immediate pain that will be also something that the attackers will leverage once they will have those capabilities.
Yeah. This seems like a really key point, right? So historically, there's been this gap from when I put out my new application or make a change to my infrastructure. Now, invariably, there tend to be some gaps around the edges, some ways of exploiting that. But there's been this time between when I put that out there and when attackers find it. And what you were hearing back from CISOs was that gap was just compressing. And so where was it? Was it in months or years? And where did it squeeze down to? Where are we in this journey right now?
Yeah. So historically and traditionally, this window is getting shorter over time. But as the models, the frontier models become better, we've seen a lot of indications from different sources that indicate that those exploitation windows are collapsing to hours and even minutes.
Wow.
And this is where we understood, together with the customers that we're working with, that this is the thing that we need to solve immediately. To answer the question immediate after deployment, immediate after a change, what that change applied on our environment and allow attacker to do something that he could have done before.
Right. This is key, right? So we used to be in this manual world. I'm going to make a change, and then maybe once every few months, we're going to do a security review. We'll do some penetration testing. Maybe we'll even go to a third party, bring in experts, and have them test our defenses to make sure they're secure. That world is gone. That world is gone. People are finding these gaps in a matter of minutes to hours from the time a change is made. And so you're hearing this panic on the enterprise side. But this is happening, when you did this research 1-2 years ago. Today, do you still see this asymmetry in the sense that the attackers are using much more advanced AI, whereas enterprises are still early in their journey? Do you still see this asymmetry?
Yes. So I think that the asymmetry is one thing that we observe, but I think the key part here to notice is that we built our capabilities for a human adversary. And the pace, the tests that we do, the assessment and the tools that we apply are meant to answer the pace of a human adversary. And so it was good enough for that era. Now we are facing a machine adversary. The speed, the scale, the comprehensiveness is something that we never seen before. And it will take time for the industry to mature, to build the solutions towards that risk and threat. But I think that the key essence that AI is solving. We transition our customers from the legacy security practices and tools that meant for human adversary to a machine-based adversary.
Yeah, so if your defense is human-based, that literally becomes the weak link. Yossi, I recently came across some research that Anthropic published on just usage of AI and autonomous testing in attack chains. I know you've read the same research and your customers have as well. Just walk us through what that research suggested, so that'll help our audience understand where the industry is right now.
Yes, so based on Anthropic research that were released a couple of weeks ago, it seems like when looking at the entire MITRE framework, there are 14 pillars of tactics. Anthropic released a year research of how more than 800 accounts within their platform were blocked because they attempted to perform full autonomy in each of these 14 tactics. It means that potentially the entire kill chain can be run autonomously by adversaries. And this is the first indication. It comes with their previous release a year ago, where was the first observed time of weaponized AI by Chinese threat actors. So it's no longer a theoretical threat. It is something that exists out there and being used by threat actors.
Yeah, and this is amazing, right? Because they are attacking some of the most sophisticated organizations on the planet today. But what about the other 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 enterprise accounts? I think that just shows the seriousness of this problem right now and how quickly weaponized AI is coming in. If I think about this, you're suggesting attackers are already moving to the machine era. We need to move to the machine era as well. This seems like a new age in cybersecurity. How do you think about that? What do you call it? What is this new era we are entering?
We are entering an era where we call the perpetual conflict era. It means that when we both building our defenses, we look at threat actors that are no longer using human in their side. This is where they have no limit in their capabilities to deploy the highest skills of attackers of the offensive side, where they can continuously target any target that they want to. And those agents don't go to sleep, they don't eat, they don't break, and they can focus on a target at any given time. This is something that will require on our side, take out the human as part of the response side in order to be able to keep pace with that threat. And this is where it will take time for the industry to mature to that. It will take time for the threat actors to be fully transitioned to that, but we need to build ourselves through that and be proactive. The other side of the perpetual conflict is we deploy the same agentic capabilities in our environment. And as opposed to the technology that we deploy in the past, we could apply our deterministic solutions, and that's it. Once you apply a rule that says this system cannot access that system, it was clear. But when agents are interacting, they're using the human language. And the key thing about the human language is that is open to interpretation. The thing is, for example, something that we observe is the power of the word bat. If you tell an agent, don't do that, but in very rare condition, life-threatening condition, you may bypass the rule because this is exactly what human will do. Mm-hmm. I can tell you, don't do that, but if it's a very rare situation that puts you at risk, it's okay to bypass rules. And that interpretation is at the essence of how agents operate, and it will be very hard to protect them from not doing things that we're not expecting to do. So we'll put a lot of efforts and guardrails, but we also have to continuously challenge them. We have to move from a checklist-based approach to a challenge-based approach, where we continuously challenge both the technology that we deploy, but also our defenses in order to make sure that we always protected and always in line with the threat coming.
I think this is a big piece of what you and I have discussed several times. Continuous testing, continuous evaluation, continuously challenging our defenses is no longer negotiable for enterprises. If you take a step back, though, the need to test our defenses, that enterprises do know, and they do this. But walk us through what is the status quo today? For someone who's not met A-Security, hasn't heard what we're building is so important for them, what did they do today? And then walk us through the solution that we've built at A-Security that is so much different than what is the status quo today.
Yes. Today, for a security leader to answer the question, how is our capabilities against the threats, they have fragmented tools, fragmented practices that they apply in a cadence that sometimes is once a year, sometimes is more often. And it's on the security team to answer and collect all the information from the different sources in order to answer that question. So for example, bringing human pen testers, you bring them once a year. They're limited in scope, time, and skills. And the result will be testifying their capabilities more than they're testifying your security. And then you have to diversify your vendors in order to get a full picture of how are you. And then you use posture tools, and you use vulnerability management, and use other limited tools that are fragmented and creating a lot of noise. And it's on the security team to clean that noise in order to get exactly what are the attack chains that lead to a business impact. This single unit of what is the attack path, that will lead to a business impact, it's an answer that organizations are finding very challenging to answer. And this is the thing that we should transition from finding isolated issues of documented vulnerabilities, undocumented vulnerabilities like 0 days, misconfigurations, all these weaknesses, not having them in an isolated, fragmented, under a lot of noise. And it's on us to find those attack paths with business impact. And transition to finding those business impact, this is where we should be at.
Yeah, so it looks like two major issues in the market right now. One is, as an enterprise, I'm testing my infrastructure on a very slow cadence, certainly not in real time. And we just discussed the perpetual conflict era. This needs to happen on every check-in, every change, continuously. And then the second issue is this kind of manual testing only finds, some issues. It's not comprehensive. It's not going to find all of those multi-hop attack paths, these very, very complicated attack chains that hackers come up with. And the human testers might not have the time or the patience or expertise to be able to come up with. So Yossi, this perpetual conflict era, I get the vision. You start the company, you have this vision for how to protect enterprises in this perpetual conflict era. So you go out to CISOs to validate this. What happens next? What do you hear from CISOs, and how does that inform your designs for the company?
Yeah, so when we started, we understood the risk of weaponized AI. We understood that very clear. But that risk, when we started, was not knocking on the CISO's doors. They have much urgent pains to solve. So what we understood is that we have to get to the understanding of what currently is painful for them, and then transition from there to how we help when the risk of weaponized AI will knock on their doors. And today we see that with Mythos, and this is the first chapter in the book. When we discuss with CISOs on their current pain, back then, it was pretty obvious that their ability to answer what is exploitable, what are the attack paths that leads to business impact that needs to be mitigated tomorrow morning. This is something that was very hard for them to answer because they rely on human pen tester that they bought once a year sometimes. They rely on fragmented posture tools or vulnerability management legacy tools. And they had to bring all of that together in order to answer that simple question. So we decided to start with that pain. And that pain resonates with all the security leaders that we discussed. So this is how we build our platform. First, answering that as we go towards building this holistic platform that help organizations from weaponized AI, both on autonomous offense and also on autonomous defense.
Okay, so I understand the problem. What is unique about what we have built at A-Security that stands out from what presumably your competition or even the last generation of human pen testers are trying to do?
Yes, so let's start with the human pen testers. As we mentioned, they are limited in a lot of ways, but most importantly, there are skills that were rare and belong to nation-state organizations that now available to everyone. And bringing just human pen tester at the level of a pen tester today will not match what the attackers will bring to the game. They will bring AI, advanced frontier models that have the capabilities of the most advanced threat actors. So we have to match those capabilities. This is first what A brings to the table. Our agents are replicating the most advanced threat actors out there with the sophistication and ability to answer the question of these attack paths that can be chained in your environment. Second is a focus and a unique way that we lower the false positive rate. And based on the current customers' evaluation, we have the highest accuracy. This is why they choose us. And we brought an amazing technology that's able to focus on the thing that matter and remove all the noise. So the team can focus on the thing that matter and make the remediation process as efficient as possible. And the last part will be how we helping our customers to get into the era of autonomous remediation. We believe that this is where we should focus on.
This is the holy grail.
This is
the full cycle.
Yeah.
I really like that second piece too. The ability of the system to identify extremely complex attack chains, but not just identify, but be accurate. So not have false positives, which we know in cybersecurity is such an issue, right? Anybody can go in and point out to the 1,000 things that are wrong. But if you have to spend the next month figuring out which 500 are actually wrong and which 500 you were hallucinating about, that doesn't really work. And this is a message we're hearing from security teams all the time. There's so many people going in, taking an LLM, letting it run amok on your environment and saying, look, you have 1,000 issues. Turns out 900 of them are not really issues. And so this is so important. And actually, when we were doing our calls, we heard this loud and clear from security organizations. They were like, security is hands down, demonstrably, lowest false positive rates, is finding the highest quality, the most complex exploitable attack chains in our environment, and is giving us very clear mitigation strategies for how to get past them. And I think it's just remarkable that you've been able to build a platform like this. What would you say to enterprises that say, hey, I just got access to Mythos or another very powerful AI model? Why can't I just run that on my environment? What's your answer to those enterprises?
Yes. So first of all, Mythos is the first chapter in the book. There are going to be more to come. And the ability to operationalize these models and answer the questions how they will be used at the hands of threat actors is not something that just simply you take Mythos and direct it to your source code. This can result with things, of course, but attackers are also operating in an environment where it's unauthenticated, black box approach without access to the source code. And in order for these models to operate and be consistent and generate the accurate results and also not impacting the environment, this is the capabilities, what we refer to as the agentic harness, that will be agnostic to every frontier model that will be released. This is where the challenge is. And of course, everybody can take Mythos or previous current models directed to a specific source code, and it will find security vulnerabilities. This is for sure something that we should do. But that's not what we're solving. We're solving the operationalization of this frontier model.
So what you're suggesting is you're not creating the intelligence. If you can create the most sophisticated threat actor in the form of this harness, you can actually benefit from the intelligence as it gets better. And so Security's platform today is doing both inside out, but also outside in black box testing of an enterprise's infrastructure in the same way that the most sophisticated threat actors would. And that means a very, very smart agentic harness that can harness the power of these platforms, these models, but also ensure, as you pointed out earlier, low false positive rate, business relevance, and so on. The last part that you suggested, it makes a lot of sense to me. This closed loop operation, that's the holy grail in cybersecurity, where you not only find problems, but you can also mitigate those issues on a customer's behalf. Talk to us about why that's so important and how are you solving that problem in a way, again, that's unique and so differentiated?
Yes. So first of all, let's recognize the problem. You cannot outpace weaponized AI by patching. You cannot rely on the traditional vulnerability management, even if you'll do your best to expedite that process. Because what happened in the vulnerability management is that there are security researchers that work for days to find vulnerability. They notify the vendors, then there is a window of 90 days until the vendor fixes that, then a CV has been assigned and then a patch is being released, and then it takes time, and this is where organizations are already familiar with the friction of applying that patch. By that time, threat actors with frontier models, which we refer to as weaponized AI, will find the vulnerability and exploit that on the spot. So all the traditional ways that we approach that risk will not be relevant. And so patching is one of the things that we should do, of course. We should expedite the process. We should have it as fast as possible. But the key part is our ability to look at the entire environment, find the issue, find this attack path, and find a way that we can eliminate that attack path from manifesting in our environment and injecting the suggested fixes to compensating controls to areas that allow the risk not to manifest in the environment. And this has to be done in a safe, controlled manner in a way that the risk will not manifest in the environment. And achieving that require a platform that first think towards that, leverage the offensive skills and not be separate in another way, and then understand the enterprise security environment. This is what we are very good at from all the experience the team has from years. We understand how those mitigations should be applied, and then we remove in a gradual way the human element from that part, from being human in the loop to human on the loop, to control that part. And as we transition, we believe that 3-4 years ahead, all the security industry will mature to agentic interfaces that will allow us to apply these things in a way that will be comfortable for organization to rely on.
I love this framing. Not human in the loop, but human on the loop. as the overseer, as the supervisor. Yossi, one of the things that got us so excited about partnering with you, which I deeply appreciate, was this notion of a closed loop system. And I can feel a category creation opportunity here. We are the vanguard of building a new category, this category that says we need to be real time. We need to continuously test our defenses. We need to find the most sophisticated attack chains. And when we find them, we need to assess them for false positive or not. Are they actually exploitable? Then we need to rank them by business context. Is this really important for you to fix right now? And then finally, and most importantly, we need to provide guidance on compensating controls, patching, mitigation strategies for them to mitigate these issues as soon as we find them, which means effectively in real time. And so as you push stuff out to production, you are pushing out software and technology that you already know is hyper secure. So whether the attacker finds, attacks you 1 second from when you update or 1 month from update, who cares? You know that you've got secure defenses already in place as you put out your applications. I think that was just so energizing about your team's vision. As you think about the company 3-4 years out, is that how you think about the company as sort of a brand new category? What's your vision for the company?
Yes. So as we approach this new era, we look at the ability to combine together what was fragmented, manual, and slow of the offensive side with the autonomous defense side. So having autonomous offense together with autonomous defense, which this is exactly what will solve the problem of weaponized AI. And we believe that this solution will be a core security stack for enterprises. There is no other way to solve that risk as attackers mature towards fully autonomous machine-based attacks. And this is where we approaching that roadmap, how we build the capabilities towards that, and this is what we do with our current customers to achieve that.
I remember a discussion with you when you walked me through these phases of the industry. Phase 1 was these manual expert testers. Frankly, teams like yours who would be brought in to test defenses. Phase 2, we had the playbook era. People would learn a little bit from you as an expert manual tester and have some standardized playbooks, which frankly were very brittle and didn't really work. But there was a set of companies that got built. Then phase 3 was, hey, we have AI autonomous testing using an AI model. And I think even that's not enough. And now you're sort of the vanguard of phase 4, which I think is the true category creation opportunity, where you have, like you said, autonomous offense, but also autonomous defense in a closed loop, just constantly getting better, reinforcing the capabilities upon each other. I think that's really exciting. As you take this to market, what are the type of enterprises and who are the folks within those enterprises that you'd like to connect with?
Yes. So looking at our current customers and prospect that we're working with, it seems like CISOs are first the ones that leading that change in those industries.
Yeah.
They are looking forward towards that risk. They are understanding where we're getting into. Most of them are early adopters and innovators at their core. And they're helping us build that in a way that help us build towards that vision. We're working with internal teams that either focusing on offensive security skills within the team, red teamers, pen testers. We're also working with product security teams and security engineers as we build the capabilities on the defense side. And I think the vision that these teams are seeing is that we transition from a checklist-based approach of tools and practices that are manual to a challenge-based approach, which at the core is the offensive engine. And this is coming from a posture-based approach to an offense-driven security, where we're always looking at things from the attacker's perspective, finding what actually matters, the chain that has business impact, and then helping the organizations to solve that. And the teams that we're working with them are the teams that do that today manually, without all the context, with fragmented tools, and they are looking for such solutions to bring that answer to them.
Yeah. See, one of the discussions we had internally was you're definitely pulling together a very comprehensive vision for offensive security and defensive security. Of course, other teams that are in this space, we've spoken to a lot of them before we were fortunate to partner with you. There were teams that were building AI-based co-pilots for red teamers. There were teams that were trying to do autonomous application security testing. There were teams that were trying to do other forms of sort of autonomy in the entire AI SOC space and so on. What got us really excited was that your team had a very comprehensive vision for this space across both autonomous offense, but also autonomous defense. Walk us through, why is it that your team, as the team that came up with this vision, what led to this? What gives you the right to win in the market? What is so unique about the founding team at A Security?
Yes, in order to build such platform that has both the ability to apply the best autonomous offense and also being able to apply the best safe and trusted autonomous defense, we had to gather the skills coming from all these areas from cybersecurity. So for myself, coming from incident response and posture assessment for large enterprises, I got clear vision, especially during incident response, about what work and what not during those incidents, like being in the middle of a hurricane of a cyber and seeing all the tools and teams and seeing exactly what works, and also using that knowledge to build the posture. With Yuval, the best CTO I can find in this field with skills in AI and building security products at Hunters, and also with his experience from 8200, Yuval brings the exact skills required to build such platform. And together with Omer brings the offensive security skills. Both by himself finding 0 days in large platform all over the world, he understands the practice of offensive capabilities that require for this platform. And combining that, this is what allow us to come up with this holistic vision to address the risk, the generational risk of weaponized AI, in order to build this autonomous offense together with autonomous defense. And we have very clear understanding of how that solution should look like and what needs to be built and what's not.
Yeah, this is another thing that was so clear in our conversations with your customers. They really appreciated. To them, it felt like a true partnership where these different areas of expertise in the founding team, they could utilize that in their environments to get better. So that's been great to see. Now, I know for a fact, when we partnered, you had an unbelievable amount of interest in venture firms that wanted to partner with you. Walk us through the decision for why we were so fortunate to partner with you. And what was your decision-making criteria? What were you looking for in a great partner?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say thank you for this partnership. And as we started together with CyberStarts, was a great start for building the capabilities that we wanted. We had both the cybersecurity experience, also in our team. As we went for the next step, we were looking for a VC that can bring two major things that were crucial for our success. First, cybersecurity expertise. And this comes from your investments in Zscaler and Wiz and other companies. And the second part, understanding the AI market and being able to help us grow in that space. And this is with the investments in Anthropic and other companies, was very clear that this combination of AI and cybersecurity in a global scale, this is together with our amazing CyberStar, which is the best cybersecurity VC, together this was for us the best combination to build what we're building. And for us, this is like, we are privileged to work with you. And since then, we feel like we made the best choice.
I'm so appreciative of your trust and your confidence in our ability to help Yossi. This is just the start of the journey. We're so excited to continue. I can see a world, and in fact, I would love for you to paint that world 4, 5, 6 years from now when you've seen success and you've changed the market and created this new category. What does that world look like? What are you excited about? What gets you out of bed every day? Just help us get equally excited about that vision 5 years from now.
Yes, I think that for years, I was in a pivotal moment for the success of organizations in building their security strategy. And this is no different from what we're doing today. When I look at that future, I understand where we are heading towards and how AI becomes a critical security solution for the risk that comes. And this is something that will change the world for them. For me, I'm waking up every day in the morning, and I know that what we're doing at A Security, we're changing the world. We're helping organizations to protect themselves from the generational risk of weaponized AI. It's not another incremental shift in technology. We're not just adding a new feature. We're changing the way organizations building their security today, and we are pivotal in that change.
Wow, this gives me goosebumps. We need it to succeed. We need A Security to build this new category to keep us protected. I love your examples of perpetual conflict. I think that's where the world is headed, and we need A Security to be in every enterprise, securing every enterprise in real time. So, Yossi, thank you so much for your partnership. thank you especially for flying out and spending time with us here today. Such a privilege to work with the team. I'm so excited to partner with you for the next few decades.
Thank you, Guru. I really appreciate all the efforts and all the work that Lightspeed is doing together with us, and we couldn't pick a better partner than you. Thank you.
Thank you.